being in a conscious relationship, actively thinking, is their cup full? Do they have time for themselves? Is my cup full? If you cannot prioritize your relationship as the most important hobby or thing in your life, then don't make a complaint about your relationship. Don't even dare.
The one thing that makes the relationship so strong through good and bad times, it's just we've got this gratitude for each other, respect for each other. We certainly don't underplay the gratitude thing because we actually mean it. It is sincere.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Connected and Uncensored. I am your host, Michaela Overman, and today for the final episode of season 1, I am joined by probably the most special guest we've had this whole season. I'm joined by my husband. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my husband, Will.
Hello, everyone.
And I decided today to bring him on rather than me having a monologue on why my relationship is so fantastic, to have a bit of a back and forth discussion with my husband actually present. I guess the main hope of this episode is to be able to provide other relationships with the tools to be able to have anywhere near the amazing relationship that I feel that we experience. And hopefully some of those tools you can implement straight away today. Some of them you can reflect and work on over time with your partner. Or if you're not in a relationship, maybe it's something that you can reflect on when you are then looking for a relationship moving forward. So the first thing I wanted to ask is, I guess, just what do you think
Can I just preface that she's given me absolutely no idea what we're talking about? So I just went to come on my podcast and talk about our relationship. So let's hope this goes okay.
You'll do fine. The less you know, the better. But what do you feel when you reflect on, I've got a really great relationship? I mean, let's just double check that.
No, I definitely think we've got a great relationship to it.
What do you think are some of the aspects that make our relationship thrive as well as it does?
I don't know. There's so many layers to an amazing relationship, and I think what makes ours so special, I just honestly think that I married my best friend, and it took me a while to find that best friend, but we've just connected ever since we started this relationship, and we laugh at the same stupid stuff.
So
we
stupid.
cry at the same stupid stuff. Maybe you cry a little bit more than I do, but we just get each other and we have a lot of fun doing life together.
Mhm.
How we sort of got there and why and what we do to ensure that that continues and we get through those tougher times together, I guess we'll probably talk about a little bit more as we go on. But I just feel that we've just got this connection, not just emotionally, but sexually, socially. We have fundamentally the same values as each other.
Mhm.
And some of that just was inherent in us, and it's sort of been organic in the way that it's developed through our relationship. So I could wax lyrical on all the things that I think are amazing about our relationship, but yeah, I think there's just this friendship, companionship, and absolute connection with each other.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I guess it's hard for people listening because part of that is just, it is what it is, right? It's like you either feel that with somebody or you don't, or you felt it with somebody and then over time it can, kind of disappear or wax and wane, just feeling like you've married your best friend. But I guess
Well, I think that would be the case with a lot of people, right? Like there's this honeymoon period that people talk about, and the reason you start a relationship is because of that period and that love and connection. The challenge is making sure that that is prolonged.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think it's like at the base of it, when you are trying to find your partner, then step one is all the things you said. Make sure you laugh at the same dumb shit, cry at the same stuff, feel like when you're hanging out with them, you're hanging out with your best friend. Like, that's kind of level one for finding your healthy, lifelong relationship. Make sure all those fundamentals are there. If you genuinely feel like you're with your best friend, then you feel like you found the person you can foster that honeymoon phase to continue on. I am personally a big believer in that the honeymoon phase doesn't need to end. Ours most definitely hasn't. I guess that's kind of like at the core of us and at the core of somebody getting a good relationship. So then what else? How do you make that last? How do you make that honeymoon phase not end? And I mean, we've been through a bucket ton of stuff. We're a blended family. I have stepkids. You have an ex-wife. We have businesses that you're running, work that I'm running. We have our own baby. We've been through the trenches of newborn phases and toddlers and chaos, busy houses, and now IVF. And, it's not like we have just cruised on through and we're just lucky. I mean,
No.
sometimes there's a part of me that thinks we are just lucky for finding each other. But then at the end of the day, it's not luck. It is replicable if you consciously choose to be awake in your relationship. Like we do these things naturally now, but we didn't necessarily do them naturally with our first long-term partners. It's almost like you consciously are in a relationship and then it is automatic. It does take work to be in a healthy relationship. But like the analogy I've probably used in the podcast before, if you look at it like a garden and you just water it a little bit consistently, you don't feel like you're working away. You don't
Mm.
feel like you are. But at the end of the day, your relationship is the one thing that lasts past friendships and work and every external factor. So why wouldn't it be your most prized hobby or thing that you work on,
Yeah.
like your golf swing? Working on your relationship. People always have time to work on their
I've got a
hobbies.
far better relationship than I do a golf swing.
He's trying,
I'm
ladies and gentlemen.
trying.
He's
I'm
trying.
trying to get there. I'm trying to get the same level in my golf as I have in my relationship, but I'm going to struggle.
That's a lot for golf. But I do think that that's my first thing about what makes our relationship so great that I wish others would really take on is taking away this like, oh, so it's work, or like, oh, so shouldn't a relationship be easy, or why do I have to work on it? I mean, don't you kind of agree that if you put in consistent small bits of effort, it doesn't feel like work because you're so fucking happy and you're just thriving in your relationship? I mean, there's a lot of people that marry their best friend and then they just stay friends. They become
Yes.
companions. They're ships in the night. They are just friends. They don't
Yes.
have all the other aspects that we have. So I think that's step number one in making your honeymoon last forever is being in a conscious relationship. So actively thinking, is their cup full? Do they have time for themselves? Is my cup full? Have I shown them love in their love language? Are they feeling like I am obsessed in them and I love them? How are they doing? How's their external life? Like being actually aware of those things and conscious, mindful. I personally think that's like step number one for having healthy
Yeah,
long
definitely.
term.
There's certain things that you look for in a partner that attracts you to them, and that's, I guess, the foundation. And go, oh yeah, I like that person. But then beyond that, to keep the spark and keep that relationship as strong as it was in that early stage, I've sort of found that's a bit of a learned process for me. I guess we're both pretty emotionally intelligent people, so that helps. I think having an empathy for how the other person is feeling and not just having this brick wall up and just going, no, I can't believe that they think this because I think this.
Mm.
I think that's probably one of the key things. You've got to learn that, and some of the disciplines that are just so normal for us now probably weren't as apparent to me particularly before we got together. And I think I'm definitely a better partner now than I ever have been. But that's not because I have to actually strain to do it. It's just that I sort of know what makes you tick. I understand what makes me tick. And it's a respect thing, right?
Mm.
And communication, we'll talk about all this stuff, obviously, but I think those are very much learned skills,
Mm.
but you then have to implement them and actually want to actually put the effort in, as you
Mm.
said, like the work, it doesn't just happen. And if you don't do it and you don't respect the other person, well, then
Yeah.
you start to drift and drift
Mm.
and drift and drift. And listen, we haven't been together for 20 years, and people probably look at this and go, oh, yeah, but they've only been together
Four years is
for
nothing. Yeah.
let's see how they go in 20. And then you can
But
very
you've
much argue that,
faced
but
enough shit in 4 years
we
that
certainly have. But I think, as I said, the disciplines and the behaviors we have
mm,
in our relationship are what will
set the
set us
foundation.
up for 30 years down the track
Yeah.
and still be
Yeah.
the same people and in
Mm.
love like we are now.
Mm. No, I definitely agree. And I think there's plenty of people that say, oh, yeah, of course, you're still in the honeymoon phase. It's been 4 years. But honeymoon phase statistically does not last 4 years, doesn't last past 18 months. And there's plenty of people I know that have been together for 4 years. And when you chuck in a newborn or 3 kids or whatever else life has thrown at us,
Mm.
it it's a significant amount of challenge. Not to mention the challenges that we went through in that first pregnancy or, yada yada. There's enough there to say that we've done work when it's been required. We haven't just had smooth sailing. So I think that why don't we jump into conflict and communication and tough times,
Mhm.
because you kind of, I guess, that's probably, apart from being in a conscious relationship and making that a thing that becomes automatic for you. And I almost look down the barrel of the camera when I repeat this. If you cannot prioritize your relationship as the most important hobby or thing in your life, even more important than your children, if you cannot prioritize that, then don't make a complaint about your relationship. Don't even dare. You don't deserve to make a complaint about it if you don't actively make it the most important thing in your life and say, you know what, it is my most important hobby. It is the thing I'm going to put most effort and love into in my life. If you can do that, you will be able to. And I always think, even if people are not necessarily like meant for each other, most people can make a relationship work that feels happy if they can do that. So, conscious relationship, make it your number one priority. And then when it comes to conflict and difficult times, like my husband says, we really have such a respect for the other person, huge amounts of respect when we're having disagreements. And I'm not saying every time where it's perfect at all. My gosh, when we first started, it was like catastrophic.
On. This is not working.
Mm,
What do I need to do
mm,
to make this better? Not what does Michaela need to do? What do I need to do to make this situation better for us both?
mm,
And so I went, okay, I need to do X. And so I did that. And then that flows on to you. And then you then went, oh, wow, I respect that he didn't bark at me or do this in that situation. And so, oh, I'm going to be nicer to him in that moment and I can handle my emotions better because he has behaved a particular way. So we sort of worked that out
Mm.
over time and a little bit of maturity on both our parts in understanding that. And that's that learned process
Yeah.
and then implementing it.
Yeah. I mean, I think having hard conversations is exceptionally important, and explosive disagreements is absolutely not recommended. But I think that making sure that you actually talk about hard stuff, one of the reasons why I feel so confident in our relationship lasting forever is whatever the other person is thinking about or struggling with or whatever, even if we know that's going to be really tough for the other person to hear. And we've had plenty of conversations like that where we're both like, that's going to be really tough for the other person to digest. We have them anyway. But I guess what we've learned, I mean, that's the super important thing for communication with any relationship. Do not avoid conflict. Do not avoid bringing things up with your partner, even if it might hurt their feelings. It's okay. It's okay to say things that are going to hurt your partner's feelings if they're really important and they need to be spoken about. That's how you actually grow and progress and get a better relationship. But when you're talking about those things, absolutely, like what Will is saying, you have to enter this mindset of what can I do differently
Mm.
to make this conflict go in another way? People are so stuck in this, well, if they just do this or if they just say that, and then nothing changes and then they keep complaining. And
But that's hard, right?
it's hard.
Everyone is just so engrossed in how they're feeling, how a situation
Mm.
is affecting them,
Yeah.
that to pull yourself out of that in the heat of the moment to then think about how this is being read on the other side, it's not the easiest thing to do.
No.
And sometimes you've got to force yourself
Yeah.
to do it. And like if we are struggling in a moment, we've got like a safe word where we just say this word and then
Mm.
we just drop it
Yeah.
rather than getting into a frictious argument, which is very rare these days, but we still have that safe word there in
Mm.
case we ever need it. And
Yeah,
then
but now
that
it's used
means 20
appropriately.
minutes without
Yeah.
discussing it. Let's just walk away,
Yeah.
let the emotions calm down, and then we can come back to it after that. And generally, that's all we need. You
Mm.
just need that time just to just go and breathe and go, okay, let's be rational about this and understand how the other person's
Mm.
feeling. I get it. This is why I thought this, blah, blah, blah. And
Mm.
then we can generally move through things.
Well, I mean, originally when we used our code words, we needed them because we were like, it was like catastrophic. It was volcanic. But the good part about getting in the habit of using the code word is now it's used so perfectly. Now it's like, oh, we feel like we're getting a little bit uncomfortable and heated. Like the way I kind of describe it as a psychologist is green light, orange light, red light. Red light, you're in fight or flight, your frontal lobe is switched off. It's like, see you fucking later. There is no chance that we could have a rational thought in our brain. There's no chance that I could look at you and care about how I'm upsetting you because I'm in fight or flight
But
and
you've
vice
actually got
versa.
an inability to do it. Your brain is not allowing
He
you
doesn't
to.
mean me. He means humans.
Yes,
Like
I mean, yes,
humans
when
have
you're in
a
that state.
absolutely. You have an inability, so you can't. And the place to have serious, important conversations is green light, homeostasis. You're both feeling good. The place to pay most attention to is orange light, and this is when you start getting like, I don't know, most people feel physiological reactions, and it's a great thing to keep a check on and maybe even like a little note in your phone or notepad or whatever. Start to pay attention to physically how do you feel when you're in orange, where you're in that like zone between losing your shit and feeling really good. It's like, does your heart start racing? Do your palms start getting sweaty? Do you start fidgeting? Do you start stomping around? And like mentally, what do your thoughts start getting? Do they start becoming like, oh, shut up, or like, whatever? That's where you want to use the code word. You don't want to use it in red. No one gives a shit about it in red. So we used to use it in red, but now we use it right at the start of orange. It's so rare that it would even get to near red. We'll both just be like, I'm getting really irritated. Cobs. Our code word is cobs because I have an addiction to popcorn. We would just say cobs and then we go and give 20 minutes, zero communication. You're not allowed to write each other text messages, nothing. The point of the 20 minutes is actually to go and just regulate your nervous system. So the point of the 20 minutes is not to go and fester in your thoughts or write things down. It's go for a walk. It's go for a workout. It's go do deep belly breathing. It's go and sit outside for a bit, however you like to regulate your nervous system, so that when you come back to talk, you're hopefully sitting in green.
Mm.
Because there's no chance of empathizing with the other one if you're in red. And if you come back after 20 and you're still in orange or you're still in red, say, okay,
Yeah,
when
and
can we come back to it? And give each other maybe an exact time. Be like, all right, let's try again in an hour, so that you have certainty. And then again, you just keep coming and checking in with each other, and you don't have that conversation with each other until you can both say, we are both in green.
yeah, I find that even just that 20 minutes, when you're in the heat of the moment, you're just arguing for the sake of arguing. And then you take yourself out of that and you regulate yourself. And then you don't really need to address too much when you come back to each other. It's like, I get what you were saying. This is where I came from.
Yeah.
Let's just move on, kind of thing. Whereas if when you're in it, it's almost like, nah, I need to say this, I need to say
Yeah.
that, and you sort of just put that on ice
Yeah.
by walking away and just chilling out for a little bit, and it
Yeah.
really has helped.
Yeah, it makes you come back and just have more respect for each other.
Yeah.
I find once you are regulated, if you do ask yourself a question of how would that experience have felt for them? And when you're answering it to yourself, you are not allowed to say things like, yeah, but they, yeah, but this, yeah, but you have to genuinely just answer that to yourself. How would that experience have felt for them? And then what could I have done differently in order to help that situation?
I think you taught me something about validating the other person's emotions, which is probably was a little foreign to me, particularly if you think you're right, that I don't really understand where you're coming from. But if you take the stance that whether you agree with it or not, they're feeling this particular emotion because of something that's happened, don't dismiss that emotion. Actually show some empathy for that. And as soon as you do that, the other side starts to relax and go, he's thinking about me, she's thinking about me. That automatically drops the tension.
Yeah.
And then you can probably talk about the whys and how you felt that way. And the other side is calmed down and going, yeah, I've had a really tough day. There's been other stuff going on. You weren't aware of that. And I just hit that point. And I think that has been pretty powerful for us too.
Yeah. I mean, I think I mentioned it in the episode with Mitch, episode 2, that I wish in my therapy room sometimes I'm like, I just want to tattoo like validate across my forehead, teaching couples how probably the number one tool to de-escalate an argument and work through it and connect. You don't have to agree with the other person's why. You don't have to agree with why they feel that way. You just need to be able to say to yourself and to them, that's their reality. Just because I see it like this doesn't mean that they aren't allowed to see it like that. That's not saying, yeah, I agree, I did mean to hurt your feelings. That's saying, okay, what I said, even though I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, that hurt your feelings because that came across like this to you. And that's your reality. And I'm so sorry that's your reality. And my husband says that I taught him this, which, yes, I taught him this, but he does this so much better than me. And it's hilarious because, like, I am the couples therapist, but I have so much more of a dysregulated nervous system than he does. Fucking normal childhoods. But, like, I just think he has such a good ability of being able to just go, she feels really sad by that, or she feels really hurt by that, or she feels this way. And then validating how I feel. And he's not taking it personally like, oh, so it's my fault or it's that. The less personal you can take someone's reality and the more you can just go, that's their reality right now because of probably everything else they've experienced in life. That's why me saying it this way makes them feel that way. It's not actually me saying it this way that has made them feel that way.
Mm.
It's me saying it this way triggers this.
Yes.
And my husband and I spent such a good amount of time understanding each other's childhoods and traumas and triggers, and understanding, okay, when this is said like that or that happens like this, they're going to feel this way. It's not me. So don't take it personally. Instead, dive in with curiosity of maybe why did that make that person feel upset? And if you have the same thing happen, you'd be like, what?
Yeah. I find that it took a little while, but when you're in that irrational, heightened state, we both said stuff that we didn't really mean, and they're really aggressive and can be sometimes nasty. And when we were first doing that, like, I'd take deep offense to you saying that about me and vice versa. What I've got better at is dismissing some of the responses if you ever get into a red
Mm.
situation, and just going, she's only saying that because
Mm-mm.
she's in this place, and the reason she's in this place is something's upset her, and maybe it's triggered some stuff which has
Mm.
been baggage for a long time, and
Mhm.
that's just a response mechanism, but don't take it to heart.
Yeah.
And if you almost walk away from that comment and just dismiss it, it's a lot easier to then respond appropriately
Invalidate.
back, rather than going, hey, F you,
Mm.
right back at you.
Mm.
And we've probably learnt that,
Yeah.
and that has definitely helped.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not to say that you don't take accountability and apologize for the hand grenades that you have thrown. Just because somebody goes, I understand why she said X, Y, and Z and why she's so triggered. I'm going to go validate her emotions and connect and, solve this disagreement. It's still then one of the best things that both my husband and I do is we will then own our shit. And, my husband maybe has understood completely why I was overwhelmed and why I acted like a shit. And, he's validating me and making me feel good. But then it's still a huge part is being able to properly apologize. Especially these days, they're just little blips in our week if it ever comes up, disagreements, but because they're handled with so much respect and validation. But if they do happen, the amount of times that, 20 minutes after getting narky with each other, I'll send a message being like, "I'm really sorry for saying that like that. That was super unfair of
Mm.
me. I was really overwhelmed about X, Y, and Z. It wasn't you, so I shouldn't have done that." That's repair is incredibly important, if not the most important part of a disagreement. We're not robots, so we are going to make mistakes. But the quicker you can repair and the quicker you can genuinely go, that wasn't cool on my behalf. I shouldn't have spoken like that, or I shouldn't have reacted like that, and really own that, the more likely it is that your partner's going to validate your experience moving forward and drop their guard anyway.
Mm.
Like, I think
I
we're
agree.
both good at that.
Yeah, I think that part is absolutely critical. Like, if
Mm,
we just didn't then come back to each other
mm,
and acknowledge and apologize and show appreciation for how the other person potentially
yeah.
finished that argument, well, then that would fester.
Yeah.
You've actually got to come back and do that.
Mm,
Otherwise, that festers. And I think the one thing that we have been good at is not allowing things to fester.
yeah. We do not sweep things under the rug.
No, and that might be the easiest and most peaceful way to
Mm.
manage a situation at that time, but I think over time that starts to build.
Yeah, that's what creates couples that don't have conflict and don't feel connected or just feel like friends, or couples that have conflict all the time because they just have this constant unresolved stream. I think, having difficult conversations is pinnacle. But you mentioned that we come back and we say, like, we're grateful for how the other person handled a disagreement. I think that's kind of how we handle conflict well and what I recommend other couples do. But I feel like at the base of our relationship, one of the things that makes the honeymoon phase never end is our gratitude.
Yeah.
Like, we are constantly expressing gratitude and thanks to each other, but also feeling it. Like, people talk so much about gratitude these days, and yeah, you can just go, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. But we usually express it to each other because we have this thing called surge. We say to each other, like, surging is when we're in our own private mind and body. Like, we're not purposely thinking, I need to express gratitude for this or that, which, by the way, there is no problem with if at first you need to consciously think of it, fake it till you make it. It takes time to learn these things. It's okay, but it will become automatic. But we're by ourselves just randomly going, oh my God, I fucking love my partner so much, or I love my life so much, or I'm just looking around and I'm just so grateful of my family and the person that's in front of me. And it's kind of like this big wave of emotion that goes through us that we've over the years described as surging. And sometimes we'll just be in other rooms of the house and we'll just have one of us yell out, surge,
Yes.
because we're just so thankful for the other person and the life that we have.
Well, our kids see it and do it,
Yeah.
right? They
I can feel them do it. It's hilarious. I'm like, oh,
yes.
they're surging, if they cuddle you really tight or something. But I think expressing gratitude, and one of the ways that my husband does it for me, so many people in my room are like, but why would I say thanks for that? Like, of course they have to cook dinner, or of course, like, laundry needs to be done and the house needs to be clean. Like, that we're adults. We have to just do these things to look after our household, or, whatever. Like, why would I express gratitude for things that have to get done? But if you don't express gratitude for these things, then you're just leaving gratitude for these big, sweeping kind of moments, which is not your everyday. Your everyday is full of the mundane normal. And the more you feel appreciated for putting in those little bits of effort to make your whole family have the best life it can have, the better you feel. So if I do all the laundry or make dinner or whatever, my husband always sends me a text being like, thanks so much for doing that, baby, or like, I appreciate that so much. Or if my husband does something for our budget, because I don't want to fucking do it. But like, these things need to get done. But I will always send a message saying, thank you so much for taking time out of your day for doing that for us. Express gratitude for as much as you can. Don't leave it for, oh, thank you so much for booking that date night for us and taking us on this whirlwind trip. Or that's not life. Be thankful for your partner just creating the everyday for you.
Mm.
Be thankful for how your partner takes one thing off your to-do list rather than looking for how they're not thankful about things or what they aren't doing. Change and train your mind to look for everything that they do for you and your relationship. And I think that's what we are so good at. We just randomly send each other messages being like, I'm so grateful or thankful that you do this or this or this, or I
They're the
love you
best
so
ones.
much. Yeah.
But I think our number one thing is that
Mm.
if you were going to just break it all down and look at the one thing that makes the relationship so strong through good and bad times, it's
Mhm.
just we've got this gratitude for each
Yeah.
other, respect for each other, and it doesn't matter if it sort of has to be done or that's just expected. No, I deserve to have this time
Mhm.
to go away and do something on my own because everyone does. The fact that your partner has carved out that time for
Mm.
you to do that, that deserves some thanks,
Yeah.
right? So even if it's small, I think we
Yeah.
we certainly don't underplay the gratitude thing because we actually mean it. It is sincere. We know what it feels like on the other side.
Mm.
And there's this saying, happy wife, happy life. And it's not about just doing whatever your wife wants to do, but I truly believe that if you are as happy as you possibly can be, that benefits me
Mm.
and the children and our life, and you have that same position for
Mm.
me. So it is balanced in what we both want for each other, and we're always thinking about that.
Yeah. Always thinking about it, but always expressing it too. There are plenty of people that see me and say, oh, I think that about my husband, or I think that about my wife, but they don't actually verbalize it or put it in a text. Like, if words are overwhelming for you, put it in a text, but actually expressing it. And I think, you mentioned It's just as important for you, for me to be happy, and it's just as important for me that you're happy. So we prioritize the other person's cup being full, and we prioritize that with genuine joy, not just, oh, I guess he better go and have his alone time. Like, we genuinely, if you go away on a boys' trip or something like that, or you go to the golf simulator or something, like, I'm
What are you
genuinely,
talking about,
oh,
babe?
never. I'm genuinely like, oh, that makes me so happy. And couples that are just filled with like
Like you're taking the heavy lifting, people were like, "Oh," and get
yeah, yeah,
annoyed by that, or we don't have that. And I think so one leads to the other, which
yeah.
makes it far easier to allow that person to go off and do something really special,
Mm,
which then they really enjoy. But then if you really love them, you really enjoy them being able to do that.
exactly.
And you know there's going to come back
Yeah.
to you at some point anyway.
Mm.
So it's a happy environment.
Mm. But it's also not the big things of like, going away and stuff like that. It's like on a daily basis thinking, well, I got my workout in. Did they get their workout in?
Yes.
We work
It's
as a
every day.
team every
It's every
day.
day.
We work such a team to be able to think, okay, well, I've got to get to the office at this time, but she needs to work out and I need to work out. So how can we do that? Doing that together so that you both feel like your cup is as full as it can be is vital. Expressing gratitude as much as you possibly can, reflecting on that yourself and trying to actually feel it in your body is vital. And doing it about stuff that you would think is expected. Like, I have been going through IVF and that kind of process for, I don't know, like a month or so now. And it's been plenty of times where I've just had no energy, and my husband has had to step up and take the heavy lifting. And rather than being like, yeah, well, of course, like that's what you got to do, I'm like, thank you so much for doing that for me. This is just, I feel so supported and so loved. So I know we're harping on about expressing gratitude, but express it and feel it, reflect on it yourself, and actually feel like they don't have to do that for me. They're choosing to do that for me. And that is a good partnership, and I want them to know that.
Yeah, there's an element of sacrifice in every relationship to make sure it's stronger,
Yeah.
and we practice that every single day.
Mm.
There are things that I do or don't do every day to make life easier for you that if you weren't part of the picture, I would do it differently, but that's okay. That's sort of what we do, right?
Mm.
And you do exactly the same for me. It's just like you sacrifice for your children, I sacrifice for you, and you sacrifice for me. Like
Yeah.
you're the most important person in my world,
Mm.
including our kids, which is a big statement to make.
Mm.
And it's not just something I say flippantly either. Like that's fact.
Yeah.
And if I look after you as priority one, well, then I'll get that back with what you do for the kids, what you do for me. But like, I want to make sure you are
Yeah.
absolutely priority,
Yeah.
and they will have to deal with coming second for the rest of their lives because that's how strong and how important this relationship is, and everyone benefits from that, including the kids
Mm.
and including myself. So it's critical.
And it is something that is obviously spoken about in literature and psychology and science so much more now. The importance of that flip of your kids don't come first, so kids first, marriage second. It is just not It's just not the way, and it's not the way that is supported by the most amount of literature and science. If you prioritize your relationship before your children, and that's not to say our kids all feel exceptionally important and exceptionally loved in our household, but they are able to feel exceptionally loved and important because their parents feel so happy. Their parents feel so connected. If we prioritize having date night, or we prioritize my husband having solo time or me having solo time, and if my number one is making sure that he's happy and our relationship is happy, and then vice versa, then our kids have a beautiful, harmonious household. They have parents that have energy and ability to give to them. The ripple on effect is so much more beneficial to them than if we make our whole world prioritizing them. So
Because the opposite of that is you're tired, feeling unloved,
Yeah.
feeling like you're not getting out anything for yourself. You're not the best parent when you're that.
No.
You're the best parent when you have had that extra sleep in, when you've been
Yeah.
able to go for that walk, when you've been able to go out to that dinner,
Yeah.
when we've been able to do something together. That's when you're the best parent. And so everyone wins in that situation. And so you've got to prioritize it.
Absolutely. I think the last thing that I wanted us to talk about today was intimacy. It's definitely something that in previous relationships I've struggled with. Like in my long-term last relationship, it's the puzzle. But if it's not there, it's catastrophic to the relationship. I mean, what good intimacy means is a different definition for every relationship, so I'm not going to get into that. But sexual intimacy is incredibly important to a relationship. It's what makes you guys go from being best friends to being lovers. And in the last month, there's been a myriad of reasons of why we haven't been able to be sexually intimate, thanks to IVF and, a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah.
And we have felt so much disconnection, and my anxiety has been higher. Like, it just has this big cascade effect. And as soon as we get that back, it's like instantaneous.
Yeah.
And I thought it was actually quite fitting that we recorded this podcast episode after we've had that experience, because it's like you can see how easy it is. Because as they say, your neural pathways, they fire where their attention goes. So if you don't use it, you lose it. And that is how relationships, if they're not conscious, they lose it. They don't have that sexual connection, which then cascades into everything else. So when you use it, you thrive and you really, really connect deeply with each other on a whole other level.
Yeah, I agree. Like I hadn't really thought about it, but for that last month, we haven't had anywhere near what we would normally have. And there have been moments, and obviously doing the IVF process is an emotional roller coaster anyway.
Hide your husbands.
What's that?
Hide your husbands.
But yeah, 1 + 1 sort of equals 2 for us. If
Yeah.
we've got that in our relationship, then everything else is better off for it.
Yeah. And I think on that, I think it's really important, because a lot of my friends, for example, they'll be like, yeah, but you just have a really high sex drive, or yeah, but you just, it's just easy for you. It's important to highlight that, yeah, okay, my sex drive isn't super low, but again, contributing factors to that, I look after my health, but also we use it. So my neural pathways are firing in that direction. If you get into the habit of it, then you will also increase your sex drive. But I think the most important thing to highlight is I'm a human, I'm a woman, I'm a mom. There are plenty of times where I'm like, I'm fucking tired, or I can't be bothered, or, whatever. But I think it's really important to highlight that if you just have sex because you are turned on, or you just have sex because you're like, oh yeah, I really, really want to, we're not 18. Like, it's not just going to be like that all the time. I think it's important to prioritize intimacy, make it something you choose to do. So, I mean,
Doesn't have to be intimate either. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be intimate without being physical. You don't have to be in the same room to do something to attract the other person to you. It could be a cheeky comment or a text or some innuendo or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that in
you
our
mean to like
relationship.
turn on your
Yeah,
partner.
like
Yeah.
it's not just okay, we have sex 4 times a week kind of thing. It's the other stuff as well. It's the other
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
that keeps that
Yeah, yeah.
spark and that want to have sex 4
Yes.
times a week
And that's
and
another
want
part
to be
of
with that other person or make sure that they are pleasured.
Yeah, and that's another side of it, is like making sure that you actually put in the effort. If you view your relationship as you're always dating, then that is, I think, how your honeymoon phase as well lasts forever. Like, don't let the flirting go. Don't let the smack on the bum when you walk past in the kitchen go. Don't let the compliment of, like the amount of times my husband just comes out in normal work outfit and I'm like, God damn, you look so hot. Or puts on his aftershave he wears every day and I'm like, "Ugh." Take the time to say these things. Flirt, feel that playfulness. Playfulness is exceptionally important to your sex life and exceptionally important to feeling alive. So there's definitely that side of it. But I also think it's like prioritizing intimacy also looks like engaging in it. Find the one that actually works best for you. And you can engage in so many activities. I also think not looking at sex as just penetration, looking at sex as a buffet. So it's an endless amount of options. Sometimes it's just doing hand stimulation or oral stimulation, or if you really can't be bothered to even take your clothes off, it's just make out with your partner while they are pleasuring themselves, or while they are watching something, or while you both watch something, or mutual pleasuring of yourselves. Like, I'm trying to use the words that aren't going to get cut from YouTube here. But there are so many things you can do. If you look at sex as just penetration, you will not engage in it anywhere near the amount you will engage in it if you look at sex as a buffet where there are countless things that you could do. Naked cuddling and just making out is sex, that is intimacy. So if you look at it that way, you can be intimate every day. If you look at it that way and you're an exhausted mum at the end of your day, if you just go, can't be fucked, going to bed, that's not making your relationship important. That's not making intimacy important. That's not valuing what's important to your partner or you. We often forget how important it is for our own reduction in anxiety, our own reduction in stress, our own reduction in pain. Orgasms and intimacy are exceptionally important for ourselves. But on a relationship level, plenty of times where I'm like, I'm exhausted. But you've learned that we can
Yeah.
engage in that even if I'm not wanting to rip your clothes off. And A, most of the time I will end up wanting to rip your clothes off. But B, even if I don't, it's still really important for our relationship. So it's okay. And if I'm super duper tired, I'll just kiss you while you do something.
Yeah.
Like, look at it as I'm not telling any woman or man here to be like feeling grossly uncomfortable and doing something they don't want to do. I'm just saying, think of it as there are endless options you can do to be intimate with your partner if you are exhausted, but you need to prioritize intimacy or you will lose it. And if you lose it, your relationship will not thrive and be healthy and long lasting.
Don't you think it's really important to create a completely safe environment for each other, particularly for the other partner to feel uninhibited and is able to feel vulnerable? I feel that some of the things that hold back relationships and intimacy is that someone feels that if they went that way, they'd be embarrassed to maybe get dressed up in lingerie or do something
Mm.
that's a little bit naughty because they've got a fear that it'll come across the wrong way or their partner might go, "Oh, that's a bit weird," or
Mm,
when
mm,
actually they probably not, but
mm,
it's that lack of confidence and lack of, yeah, I guess, lack of a safe environment for them to feel that they're comfortable to do anything. Like, we don't have that. There's no judgment, there's no,
yeah.
like, we're really comfortable in each other's likes and whatnot, and even if we weren't, it wouldn't matter.
Mm,
We'll just play that game because it's a safe house.
mhm.
Do you think that that is key to some people in unlocking it?
Yeah, I mean, I think most people avoid tough conversations, whether it be about what they like and dislike in the bedroom, or finances, or how many kids they want, or that they like someone else, or like whatever. I
Mm,
think people avoid tough conversations. And
yeah.
I think having hard conversations is how you thrive. And we have them no matter what they are, because we know that even if it upsets someone else or was tough to digest, or we have them anyway because we work through it together.
Mm.
And I think sex is a place where you have to feel so vulnerable with your partner. So if you're working on all the other things that we've talked about in here, and you're showing love to your partner in their love language, not yours, and thinking about their cup being filled and expressing gratitude and healthy communication and doing all these things, you will feel like you're with your best friend, and you will feel like you can say anything, and you will feel like you can say anything, even to the extent that even if I did say, hey, I want to try this, or I like watching this, or
Yeah.
whatever, and your partner goes, you're a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you have said with some of the things that I watch, for example, you're a fucking weirdo, but like in a loving and endearing way, and it doesn't matter. Like, you just accept that even if someone thinks I'd never watch that or
But
I'd
that's
never
that
do that.
honesty, right? And
Yeah.
that's like you build that.
Just think the more you can prioritize it and say, this is something that is so important, even more so than watching that TV show, or, you know, whatever it is, prioritize it. But you don't have to look at it as penetration. The more you look at it as it has to be this, then the less you'll put off doing all those other options. So that's my probably the biggest tip, is
Yeah.
that don't wait to get turned on to do it. Do it to get turned on. Don't wait and only do it if you are turned on. Prioritize it for other reasons like health of the relationship, stress reduction, etc.,
And it's a
etc.
lot easier to do if you've got that respect for each other
Yeah.
in other parts
Yeah.
of the relationship, for people to relax
Yeah.
and feel comfortable to do all the things that maybe you want them to
Yeah.
do. And I think it starts well before you start taking
Oh
your
yeah.
clothes off.
Well before the bedroom. And that is just something that like we just thrive off, is we still flirt with each other, and we still, are cheeky with each other and playful with each other. And
It's disgusting.
it's disgusting. Don't let that go though, guys. Like, why would you need to? Be obsessed in your partner.
But
It's
that's
beautiful.
the honeymoon period people talk about, is
Yeah.
when they're doing all these things.
Yeah.
So why would you stop
Mm.
that?
And again, like when my son was 7 months old, for example, we had our most healthy sex life we probably ever had. Like when my son was, we just brought him home, I was like emailing the doctor going, when can I have sex? Like, it's not like these people often say, oh, we'll get it back when our kids are older, or no, prioritize these things now. Don't
Yes.
do these things in the future sometime. And don't think that these are reasons why you can't be intimate. Absolutely, this is not me saying if you are in pain or if you are feeling really unsafe with someone, do not engage in intimacy. Obviously, I feel like shouldn't have to preface that, but you never know. People can hear these things and take them the wrong way. But if you're in a marriage that is healthy, or if you're in a marriage that you're trying to make healthy, then there is nothing that should get in the way of intimacy, especially if you do not look at intimacy as this black and white thing that it equals penetration. Intimacy is a buffet of array of options. I could basically be in a fucking turtleneck and a morning gown and not be touched myself, but still be in an intimate moment with my partner. So don't forget that. Prioritize it. It's exceptionally important. Prioritize each other. And yeah, I mean, I think if this is something that you guys enjoyed listening to and you would like more in-depth tips on any of those aspects, or on different tools that we have said specifically, please let me know. And maybe in season 2, I can have my husband come back. But I would say my final point is, be each other's biggest cheerleaders. I mean, this podcast could have 1,000 listeners and not actually do well. And my husband's like, fucking yeah, go for it. So proud of you. You're amazing. You're the best. And vice versa. I am constantly speaking to my husband with the utmost respect for him and cheering him on like his number one cheerleader. But behind his back, to anyone that'll listen, I am singing his praises, and he's the same. Do not speak negatively about your partner. Be their biggest cheerleader, especially behind their back, because that's the kind of stuff that gets actually festered in your body and forms your opinion of them. So be their biggest number one cheerleader, because we sure as shit are each other's number one cheerleader. And I'm exceptionally grateful for my relationship with you. And I love you. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And I hope that you guys really enjoyed this episode.